Y'all, my name is Benjamin, and okay, so what do I love about black women? Well, it might be a better question to ask: what's not to love about black women? Oh my God! Hallelujah! Ah, yes. I mean, okay, so as you can see, right? If you you can see that I've got light skin, right? All right, so I grew up in a white area, and it wasn't until 1995 that my dad, my dad, he started a business, and I was still a minor. This is back when I was a child, still like young, like I guess you could say a teenager, right? So he was living at home when he started his business, and we finally moved out of my grandmother's house, his mom's house, in 1995. And so in 1995, new apartment and cable, because my grandparents didn't have cable back then. And as you know, I mean, this was like the prehistory of the internet. It was dial-up back in 1995. I mean, I don't even think 56K was out. It might have been. But anyways, this was my first introduction to BET. And wow, I was really pleased. I was pleased with BET. This is back in the day when they had Video Soul, Caribbean Rhythms. They had Barry White was in heavy rotation, and he had Come On Baby, come on, come on, come on, girl, come on, baby. That was the song that was bumping BET then at that time. And so, man, there was like just a handful of black kids at the school, at the high school. And so anyways, I had a crush on Sherry Carter. She was the hostess along with Donnie Simpson. It was Donnie Simpson and Sherry Carter. They were the hosts of Video Soul. Man, wow. She still is fine. But man, wow, whoa, she was fine. And so I was just now being exposed to more black people. Like, it's sad, but there was segregation, right? And even if segregation was finally like officially done away with, you still had financial segregation, right? There was the white flight, I guess, in the 60s when they started to integrate the schools. And so white people fled the inner city, urban areas to move out to the suburbs because they didn't want their little white children to be educated with black children. So you had the white flight, and then you had less mobility. For people who make less money, you're gonna have less mobility, right? Not as good of an opportunity overall. I'm not saying for everybody, because there are examples of other people that did well for themselves. Praise the Lord that they were able to get out of the ghetto or whatever, however you want to say it. But they had more. Some of them had great opportunities, right? Not everybody had the same lot in life. But it wasn't until like the mid 90s, until the internet, until cable TV, that a lot of what, and I know that my experience is not unique. These people that designed our society had that in mind. They don't want the people to come together, right? They don't want you to know your brother. They don't want you to know your sister, because to know me is to love me, right? If you know people, you begin to love them. So how can you have, if you don't have knowledge, you probably are going to have some fear. Irrational fear. Fear that's based on irrationality. So anyways, I've been observing black women. I've been observing black men for years. I love you guys. I like you guys. I love people in general, but you know what? Man, you have grace in my heart. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate all the black heroes. People that stood for what's right. And that's what life is about. Life is not, let me make 100K so I can consume all this stuff that does not even last. Yeah, it looks nice. Yes, it's fly. But are you really like that dope on the inside? Do you have that spirit? Do you have that life? Do you have the life, the God kind of life? Do you have that Zoe life in you? Do you have love in you? You got love in you? So now they can't hide. They can't hide your shine anymore. It's too late. People have seen it. It could be hidden away a lot better before, but this is the time of knowledge. We live in an age of knowledge, knowing. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. But we live in a time of knowledge. The Bible says that knowledge shall increase. Knowledge shall increase. Look at technology. Look at technology. Primarily, look at the spread of the gospel throughout the world. The real gospel. The gospel of Jesus Christ, which is grace. It's a gospel of grace. Look at Joseph Prince, his ministry. I've been sharing on Facebook for years now that the American church was compromised. Largely, the American church has been compromised, and it was going to take ministries from outside the United States to preach the accurate gospel, which is the gospel of grace. You look at Hillsong. Hillsong has come. Joseph Prince Ministries has come. He's got a church there just outside Dallas. You look at, there's a ministry in Austin, Texas called Planet Shakers. They came from Australia. And last but not least, Phaneroo. 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 With Apostle Grace Lubega from the country of Uganda in Africa. This is the best, most deepest, most accurate preacher alive today. And he's very young. He's like maybe not even 35. He's probably like 33, 34. And just look at, you don't have to take my word for it. Just go do your own research. Look on YouTube. They've got his sermons. They've got an app where you can listen to the sermons on the app for free, by the way. And they don't even ask. They don't even have, like, if you look at their website, they don't even have a button for you to donate. They're not about that. They got provision. Their source is God. They don't have to ask, because the people give. The people give. When you preach grace, you don't have to ask people to give, because grace gives. Love gives. I'm preaching right now, but you know, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Love gives. When you're preaching love, when you're preaching grace, you do not have to ask the people. You do not have to plead with the people. You do not have to scare people about the tithes, and that if you guys don't pay the tithes, we're not going to have enough money to pay the bills. And no, they're not preaching grace here. And whatever ministry is struggling financially, they are not preaching grace. I guarantee you. I guarantee it. Just look in the book of Acts. When great grace was upon them all, they were giving. They were dividing everything up. They didn't have any, none of them had any need. And great grace was upon them all. You know, they sold their possessions. They came and they laid the gifts at the apostles' feet. Anyways, so that was like a little lengthy, maybe diversion, I guess, or whatever. But hey, you know what? It's all related. Love, the plan of God, it's all related. It's all related. How we treat each other, it's all related. What you have done to the least of these, you have done to me, he said. So everybody is a reflection of God. They were created by him in his image, right? And since the Lord died for everyone, treat them as valuable, right? Treat them as, you know, if they don't believe, treat them as somebody who could receive that salvation. You don't know who's been praying for them. Don't know what they've been through. So treat them kindly, right? So, what do I love about black women? Oh my God. Wow. There's so much grace on you. You know, for a black woman, I'm speaking to black women now. There's so much grace on you. There's so much grace on you. You know that, you know, I'm a spiritual man. I'm a spirit first, right? I'm a spirit. Okay, so when you look at the Bible, you look at Esther, she was a captive. You look at Ruth, she was a Moabitess woman. She was not a Jew. She was a foreigner, right? Somebody that would be despised. You know, you look at the woman, the dark-skinned woman, the black woman in Song of Solomon. They were tripping about skin color back then. Read it. Read Song of Solomon. All right, so the Lord loves to choose those things that the world hates. I wonder why. I wonder why. You know, and so, anyways, you have a great story. You know, like, you have the most wonderful story where, many people reject black women. Not all. Obviously not all, right? But to have so much disrespect, to have to be like passed over so many times. You know, I love my black brothers, right? I love them. They're indispensable. They are necessary, right? My black brothers. But some of y'all, even the preachers, like these, they're like color struck. They want these high yellow, red bone, light skinned women. As if for the black man, he's not masculine if his black traits are not more dominant than the woman's black traits. Like it's some kind of expression of his black masculinity to have a lighter skinned woman. You know, even the preacher, I've seen lots of preachers, lots of black preachers with light-skinned wives. Now, there's nothing wrong. Hey, they're beautiful. God bless them. It's just like you see a pattern, right? And that's kind of like accepted, right? One of my neighbors, my next door neighbor, who I used to work with, really great kid, you know, very, you know, just the greatest kind of kid. Like you would want him for your son. Respectful, hardworking, athletic. You know what I mean? Taking care of business. He told me one time that his mother would be disappointed in him if he chose like a dark-skinned woman as a wife. Like he was, I'm not gonna say he was like really dark or whatever, but he was like more than halfway dark, I guess you could say, if you want to put it like on a scale or something like that. Like I guess you could use like a rating of like 4, where One would be like super light, where you could, you know, like almost pass for white. Two would be like halfway, you know, like half and half. Three would be like 75%. And four would be like, you know, just real dark, you know what I mean? And I guess you could say that he was like a 3. But anyways, yeah, so he said that his mom would be disappointed if he chose a woman that was not light-skinned as his wife. Ooh, yeah. So anyways, you know, there's a lot that black women have had to endure. I mean, obviously, you know, this world is as the way that it is, you know, with it's really been an assault on the black family through 400 years of torment, you know, in this country and around the world. And in present day, with the prison system, not only is it an attack on black men, because it's mostly black men that are going to prison, but that's a direct attack on the woman. When her covering is in jail, guess who suffers? She does, with the kids. You know, I mean, Lord help them. Lord help them. It's just a lot. It's been a lot on your plate. You know, and anyways, through it all, man, you still look fine. You still are educated. You're leading the way in so many ways. Black women are the most godly being, at least in the United States. I can really only speak from my experiences here in the United States. Black women are the most godly. Now, how can you say that, Brother Ben? Look at who's in church. Go to the churches. Find out who's in church. Is that a godly person who goes to church? Yes, it is a godly person who goes to church. It's not the godly person who's going to the club, right? That's not godly, that's worldly. That's worldly, right? People going to the club, people, you know, going to bars and whatever, you know, doing what the world does, you know, living that life, you know, dabbling in drugs and, you know, fornication, different things that the world does, you know. But you're going to find godly people in church, right? And what do you see? You see it looks like sometimes 3 to 4 women for every man in church. So yes, they are the godliest people. Women respond a lot faster than men. You know, the Lord addresses, if you look in the scriptures, the Lord usually addresses the women first. Look at Paul's letters. You know, when wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands. Then comes husbands, love your wives, right? The Lord addresses the women first, because the women, it seems like the women get it, right? It's the men. Like, you know, Christ appeared to, was it Mary first? After he rose? Women first, ladies first, right? Except in the creation, right? So yes, Adam came, and then Eve was taken from his body, right? Out of Adam. But I mean, yeah, I would fail to tell of all that is beautiful about black women. I mean, you got to ask yourself, why does the world hate you so much? Why does the world hate you so much? Maybe it's because they're not you. You know, people be jealous. You know, people hate. You know, there was that commercial. I think it was like a Maybelline cosmetics commercial back from like the late 80s and 90s, and it said, "Don't hate me because I'm beautiful." There's so much truth in that. White men are jealous of black men. Black men have the reputation with the women. Black men have the confidence, that swag. They got the game. They got the speech. You know, they know how to rap to women. You know, and it's proof. This is proof that the clothes do not make the man. You have to have, like, if you're starting from more humble beginnings, it has to be about more than the possessions that you have. It has to be something godlike from inside of you. It has to be like from love, for a person to still shine, even though the world hates you, even though you're being rejected in many ways, you're being discriminated against in many ways, you're still shining. You can still walk your walk. You can still talk your talk, right? And I had a job, right, at an amusement park when I was 16 and then 18, I was 17 and 18 when I worked at this amusement park. And it was a lot of kids from Chicago. It was a lot of kids from Milwaukee. Yes, it was Great America, right? It was the best time I ever had in my life. You know, one of the best times I ever had in my life, work-wise, because the kids made it fun. They made it fun. You know, it was the energy, raw energy, positivity. You know, making jokes. You know, life. And it's something about your experience. It's something about your experience where you're like forced. See, white kids have the luxury of not having to hustle. Black kids kind of like have to hustle. Now it's changing. Nowadays there's a lot of black people that have taken on white people type of ways. When I was growing up, it wasn't like that so much. You had some bougie people. You had some sellouts or whatever you want to say. You had like coons. But man, like people were different back then. And now there's a little bit more, there's more money in the black community. Like you started seeing like the plastic surgery. I mean, you never really saw that at all before. I mean, unless they were like, you know, Michael Jackson or something like that. But, you know, anyways, yeah, so, but the other thing that I've noticed, okay, so because I've loved black women, I used to notice like interracial couples, right? And so from the like I'd say the 1990s, like maybe mid 90s, when I started to notice these things, I guess you could say like from like 92, 93 in there, when I started to notice these things. I noticed that if you ever saw an interracial couple, what seemed like 9 times out of 10, it would be a black man with a white woman. And rarely would you see a black woman with a white man. It was taboo, I guess. And not only that, but I mean, just there's a lot of beta males. There's a lot of white beta males that they have no concept of reality. I mean, now it's changing, of course, right? Things are different today. You have the knowledge that's, you know, people are being exposed to each other. People are being more exposed to the truth. People are not as sheltered as they once were, right? So, you know, but then there was just a lot of beta white males, right? Just not very confident, prejudiced, ignorant, you know, all these things. But now, I mean, I have been shocked. I've been shocked since I'd say like the last 5 years, right? Especially, you know, in and around Austin, Texas. I mean, I don't know if this is like a phenomenon that is a Texas phenomenon,